Welcome to the RPGamer review of Bloomtown, A Different Story. This review is read by Sperumbres, written by Dalandar, and the video is edited by Erfrag. Combining popular concept has long been considered a potential recipe for success. However, actually getting the finished product to contain as much deep and nuance as the beloved titles that focus on those initial concepts is a lot more difficult. In this case, the inspiring ingredient of Persona franchise and Stranger Things ensure high expectation. A lazy bear game and different sense game, pixel turn-based RPG, Bloomtown, A Different Story, there are a lot of aspects done well, but when drawing upon such powerhouse, there's a lingering expectation of greatness that is never quite reached. Emily and her brother Chester are dealing with some family turmoil in Chicago, so their mother shipped them to Bloomtown, Illinois, to spend the summer with their grandpa. On the surface, it is a typical sleepy town in 1960s America. However, they soon find that the town has been dealing with the disappearance of town people for months now. Emily then finds one of the multiple gateways to a darker world called the Underside. Once there, she signed a contract with Lucifer to gain the ability to tame and use demons as a way to defend herself from the evil of the Underside. What started as a dark adventure with some comedy slowly gets more creepy undertown as Emily is forced to grow up too fast dealing with the three powerful demonic entities that are threatening the residents of Bloomtown. Emily never loses her intelligence or childlike whimsy, which lead to some endearing and comedic one-liner. Bloomtown, A Different Story does a great job of grounding its characters, despite the insanity that keep occurring around them. As preteens, Emily, Chester, and Emily Bloomtown bestie Ramona are pretty quick to adapt to their surroundings. When they come across Hugo, a talking corgi who lives hundreds of years and is able to turn into a two-legged beefcake with muscle that will make a strong man blush, and the Underside, their reaction is mild amusement and sarcastic banter. Emily has the chance to bond with these party members and other colorful characters in Bloomtown, which is worthwhile since their stories are deeper than they first appear. The stylized presentation of Bloomtown, A Different Story is its greatest strength. The colorful palette used throughout had a sense of eeriness and vibrancy that adds the whimsicalness of the world. Enemies range from weird to grotesque, but again in a way that downplayed based on the color choice so it never feels scary. The little quirk added to every room and the other side mean that every dungeon feels handcrafted, complete with debris that feel more like a cluster of demonic teenagers' room rather than anything horrific. This is aided by the music, with the comeback offering cheery and catching vocalized track that keep bopping long after the game session is done for the day. The traditional ambient tracks are less memorable but do a serviceable job of creating whimsy or dread depending on if the player is in Bloomtown or the Underside. There's a day and night cycle through any trip into the Underside lasts until 9:30 p.m. no matter when it was entered. Unlike titles that use such cycle to apply urgency in Bloomtown, A Different Story, there's none at all. The only reason there is day is to make entering shop and meeting people mildly frustrating due to restrictions. Nothing is holding the player back from turning Emily into a workout machine, spending day after day exercising to boost her health little by little while ignoring everything else. This lack of urgency isn't inherently a bad thing, as the title is short enough that it's easy to max out the 4 attributes: gut, proficiency, charm, and smart by just fooling around the town. However, it strikes at odd that when characters speak as though there is a time limit, giving a false sense of stress that disappears when players realize it's purely for flavor. In addition, one of the tasks around town is a part-time job that gives a decent amount of money. As damage and defense capabilities are entirely tied to equipment, it's pretty easy to become overpowered early on. These exploits can make the modest difficulty barely noticeable through having the patience to grind through this mechanic, particularly with the occasional lengthy load time on the Switch, is another thing entirely. Thus, the only barrier to reach the endgame readiness are artificial one to prevent Emily from exploring section of Bloomtown until the story allow it. Bounding quests with other party members or route the sole non-playable companion also reach these artificial walls in which the story must progress to unlock the part of the town to continue them in. These perks are potentially game-changing abilities that can, for example, double debuff chance or get a second dice roll to capture a demon. Some storyline choice as well as all demon capture attempts are made using dice roll. The 2 dice are rolled for every dialogue or skill check as well as any demon capture that the player makes. An example of a skill check is when Emily comes across a spider-infested abandoned car, she needs to roll guts to see if she's mentally strong enough to search for a treasure. Every demon that can be captured are broken down into 4 attributes as a way to differentiate the chance of capturing them. Bloomtown, a different story, is kind enough to show the chance of meeting the target result, which reach a maximum of 97%, as double one are always a failure. If a player fails to capture a demon, then the enemy gain a free attack, while failing a dialogue roll 10 to just prevent the player from receiving extra items or money without really affecting the story. Every party member has a guardian demon that levels with the cast and learn 1 new skill from a choice of 4 options available. These options tend to follow particular type skill per character, so it pegs each party member to archetype. The way to customize this is to equip any captured demon into the free extra slot for magic. Captured demons grow in strength by fusing other demons into them. This creates a difficult choice to use the more recently fought enemies with fewer abilities and more resistance to boon their partners, or to slowly level early demons for the chance at something special. Earlier demons can become more powerful thanks to a 30% chance to learn new ability and 10% to gain a new resistance with each level. What is learned is largely random but depends on the demon type, such as fighter only learning attack abilities. Enemies are shown on screen as 2-legged shadows that, if not engaged, will chase Emily until she leaves the area. Areas are split up by doorways that take a second to open. Fight can be avoided this way, but many of them don't respawn upon re-entering the underside. Meanwhile, dungeon cannot be re-entered after defeating the boss, meaning that potential experience and treasure can easily be left on the table. Engaging the enemy is humorous, as either the enemy or Emily will slap the opponent to initiate combat, but this is purely a visual gag that doesn't change the actual fight. Turn always begin with the player party, in the order of Emily, Ramona, Chester, and then Hugo, before the enemies get their action. The only thing that can shift this up will be debuff, missing party members, or the player hit the enemy weakness. It can occasionally lead to an additional turn. Overall, enemies have large health pool and, depending on how much equipment is purchased, can take some time to get through without losing a lot of magic when ditching out spell. Magic is the easiest way to make enemies go down. Knocking down every enemy in the fight by damaging an enemy weakness gives players the choice to subdue one and have them join the player, or do an all-out attack and deal heavy damage. Without downing enemies, there's a reliance on debuffing them so that weapons attacks actually deal decent damage. Furthering the large health pool are enemies that are fond of healing, while range attack come with an ammo counter that reset every encounter, but still mean that they run out in a single battle much faster than magic spell. Spawn points in dungeon are showcased as payphone and work as various starting spots to make upping back into a dungeon simple, including being conventionally located before bosses so player can head back to Bloomtown to rest up before a tough fight. Bosses are generally quite powerful, and if the party come and withered down by small fry, things can get a bit too difficult. There's reason to explore with treasure to be found in large abundance. chest content appear to be randomized. Dying and reloading to open the same chest lead to a different result. These lead to the temptation of save scum, or for a different playthrough to be easier than other thanks to the luck of the chest content. Bloomtown, a different story, combined familiar aspects of popular Stranger Things and Persona franchise and twist them to create something different. The narrative does a solid job of blending horror and comedy with colorful visual and catchy music. However, the gameplay loop just doesn't quite have the tightness to make things properly tick. Demon fusing, bounding, and time limits are at times refreshingly straightforward, yet also frustrating by their lack of depth. There's definitely something to be gained from taking a hike in and around Bloomtown, though its quirk prevent it from being a must-stay locale. RPGamer give Bloomtown a different story, 3.5 out of 5. For more detail, hit up the link in the description below. For more video content, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitch for daily stream of your favorite RPGs. Join on the discussion at rpgamer.com on Discord. And for the latest in RPG news, head over rpgamer.com.